You don't mind.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. My name is Rose Wynn. I'm with California Four-Wheel Drive Association, and we're just real piece together right here. I recognize many faces from those across our Foothill and Rocky Mountain community, as well as who come from out of state and from down the state. So thank you. This is a really important topic that we're talking about tonight, so I appreciate your sharing your time and look forward to your questions when we get to the Q&A. But we will be starting off hearing from pretty much us. We actually have so many folks who are super passionate about this and come from such a wide variety of backgrounds in regards to uses of how to live, work, and recreate in this here national forest. And what the impacts are in relationship to this proposed monument, not only today and in the range of life, region, I'm not going to call it range of life, it's not designated, but not only right here and today, but also around the state and the threat that we're facing with regards to ensuring that we don't have this monument now, nor that we have to face this valley again. So, I again look forward to the questions and hearing from each of our experts. So, to begin, um, okay, forgive a little bit of technical snafus for getting things said. These are the organizations that are with us here tonight. We'll make your introductions from everybody as we're going through speaking to member of our panel. We actually have some bonus people here as well, and so I'll take a moment to introduce them as we get to those segments in our discussion. Okay, but just to start off with introductions, this is a little embarrassing, I guess. Okay, I'm Rosemary, I'm Natural Resources Consultant for California Four-Wheel Drive Association. I've been involved with this group for going on 3 years, and I've been involved in opposing the Range of Light Monument for over 10 years since this first came about, long before I knew about California, and there were citizen groups that were opposing it when it first came out as a proposition. And so I'm really pleased to get to join this fight now. From the perspective of Cal 4, we represent just about 4,000 members up and down the state. And Cal 4 is kind of uniquely positioned, like in that we advocate for stewardship and active conservation in balance with human uses like motorized recreation and all outdoor recreation on our public lands. And so Cal 4 has been at the forefront of this since they started in 1989. It was actually Cal 4 that was able to petition Congress to have this extremely real. And so I know we have some folks in our audience here who are actually involved in that. And so we are that much more passionate even about this proposal because it does also overlap not only with the Deuce Ocean, but with one of the best OEG networks in our state. So I'm joined here by many others. And we'll each have some different slides, but I do want to highlight some of the work that we do in doing active conservation. We are involved out there on the trail, and our volunteer groups are actually working to mitigate routes where there might be concerns with endangered species or habitat destruction, anything like that. We actively address that and do it in cooperation with the Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, state parks, national parks, whatever agency manages the land in which we're recreating. We work with them to ensure that it's done in a highly responsible way. Okay, so a little bit about the Range of Light. For those of you who might be new to this topic, it is a proposed monument that would cover over 1.4 million acres in the Central Sierra. And I have a map up here to include the orientation to the boundaries. it would essentially swallow all of Sierra National Forest into Sierra National Forest as about for over 10 years, and we'll tell a bit more about the main process behind this monument, but they would run to the border of Yosemite National Park, all the way down to the border of Sequoia National Park, and to the United Parks, right, that is advocate for this. And the main reason that they share that this monument is needed is that for the connectivity between Yosemite and Sequoia, for biodiversity, for conservation of species and habitat. But an important thing that isn't always made clear in the information that's coming out from the United Parks is that we actually have that connectivity already achieved. If you look at the green shaded land on the east side of the coast boundary, that's already existing wilderness. We have actually over 500,000 acres of existing wilderness connecting those two areas. And another fun fact is that this band of wilderness that you see from Evergreen River on the north down to Golden Trout on the south, which might be a little out of view for the folks in our audience. It's the largest continuous section of wilderness in the entire lower 48. So we have really good biodiversity and habitat connectivity in our Central Sierra already. The rest of the monument, or that is shown in white, is really what's a very high concern to everybody in this room today. That's where we have a variety of towns, many multiple uses, and issues related to arsenic and private use in addition to other public uses. So we'll dig into all that some more. But now I'm going to give you some orientation to what we're looking at with range of light. To give just a little bit more orientation, here's a closer map, or more zoomed in map, that shows a few of the communities. So you can see on the north, Wawona is right there at the border of Yosemite. It's not in the proposed monument, it's right on the edge. And then when we come down, you can see that Bass Lake, North Fork, much of Auberry, Holiday Creek, Shaver Lake, Huntington, Indian Creek, Balch Camp, and Pine Flat are some of the main communities that are contained within this range of light. So if you live or work in any of those communities, then that's an important thing to keep in mind for continuing our discussion today. Another big piece that will emerge as we're talking is that the vision for this proposed monument would shift management of this area of land from the Forest Service to the National Park Service. I'm not going to read through this whole slide because there's quite a bit of content, but this is really just kind of a snapshot. I encourage you to read it as I'm talking about some of the ways that that impact would unfold. And one of the main areas is that where the Forest Service manages for what we call the multiple use objective, where they are intentionally crafting their management plans to ensure balance between all of the different uses that we have, as well as interest from the public for recreation, for business, commercial, and private considerations, with biodiversity, wildlife, and native species. They're balancing all of that in their land, trail, and site-specific management planning. And with the Park Service, their objective is primarily conservation. And so they'll place that as the top priority, and then any of those other uses become secondary or non-essential in the grand scheme of how they're doing their management planning. And you can see just in the comparison between like Yosemite National Park and Sierra National Forest, what some of those differences are in regard to what you do. You can't ride motorized vehicles off the road. You can't do a lot of things that would be free and open in Sierra National Forest in a national park setting. And so that's just kind of an umbrella view of what some of the main differences are. We can see there's many more details there, and again, we'll get into that more with our speakers tonight. Okay, so just a quick overview of what's at stake here, some of the big bullet points. It would change the priority for multiple uses to a priority for conservation. It would alter how we are able to interact with the agency in providing public input in land management planning. We'll get more into that as well. It will decrease economic uses, including logging, biofuel, cattle grazing, mining, and other uses. It will also charge the public fees for entry. Right now, we can just drive up in the forest for free anytime we want to go. We would have entry fees to get into a monument. And the bottom line is that this really is more than just kind of a beautiful thought of a monument designation. It is a federal land grab. And that's a piece that we'll emphasize heavily tonight as the bigger picture in how we not only will successfully oppose this today, but how we'll successfully ensure that we don't have to face this battle again in the future, comes down to this issue of stopping federal land grabs. So I also wanted to note that if you're curious about anything that's coming out from United Parks, you can go on the website. They have some information there, and I would encourage everybody after this meeting, if you haven't already, spend some time on their website. Please compare notes from what we talked about with what they have to say. And if you have questions, or if you see things that don't line up, that's a great conversation point where we can talk further. I think that when we get into issues like this, we don't want to dive into pointing fingers or getting steeped up with blame. Let's just look at the facts. And when you go through the facts that are provided, you go to the networks, and then you go through the facts in regard to what we're concerned about here, the picture becomes pretty clear. But you, of course, can make your own decision. And those are great conversations for follow-up if there are. Okay. I already named some of those in impacts, so for the sake of time, since we have a lot to get through tonight, a couple of hours, I want to move on and first introduce Ben Burke. He is the Executive Director of the Urban Coalition. I want to stand up real quick. We have such a full panel. I'm going to jump right in and let you share a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Okay, so my name is Ben Burke. I'm the Executive Director of the Urban Coalition, and we are a national group that works to protect our public lands and keep it open for outdoor recreation. And a lot of times that means we focus on motorized recreation because that is often the biggest target of what these groups are trying to restrict. As far as this issue is concerned, we are also the group that probably has the furthest advanced lawsuit challenging the abuse of domestic rights right now. So we were in the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in September of this year, arguing against the expansion of the Bears and Grand Staircase system on international monuments on the premise that the president doesn't have unlimited power to just designate every square inch of federal land as a national monument, which is what the government was actually arguing in court that they do have. And so we care a lot about these national monument designations. We've been monitoring all of these, we've been monitoring all the proposals, and we're just grateful to see that strong showing here tonight of folks who I hope are opposed to this because this is going to be very bad. That's good.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit more about current activity?
Yeah, and so just over the weekend I got a news alert that they were doing a public meeting up in the national monument. There's actually 4 in California that are being proposed right now. And the news published this at 8:11 a.m. on Saturday morning to let people know that there would be a meeting at 10 a.m. that morning at the Forest Service. They're going to have a public hearing about a public listening session about this proposed monument, which is exactly what happened in Arizona when Biden designated Northern Arizona a year ago. And so I think there's going to be some things designated. We need to be watching all of these. We are tracking 9 proposed monuments right now for the Urban Coalition that total 5 million acres. And so that's as big as New Jersey. That's bigger than Hawaii. That's bigger than Massachusetts. I mean, this would lock up a lot of land during what we consider to be a lame duck moment of the Biden presidency. So it really sabotaged the incoming Trump administration's ability to uphold campaign promises. And so we hope they would take aggressive action to undo any of these, but they won't if there isn't meeting he had with Ken Salazar, who was the Secretary of the Interior, back in 2011, to ask him not to designate any more monuments in Utah. That was in 2011. By 2016, it had Berger designated. So Mike Lee is now the chair of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee. This is an issue we've been trying to build this level of public opposition to since 2011. And in fact, I'd probably say since the 90s when they designated Greg staircase. So we need to use this moment to deal with the broad case against why these minings are a problem. We've now seen the mining plans come out. For all these miners in Utah, we still in Greg staircase, they pledged 1.2 million acres for that. To motorized access, not just recreation, but motorized access. But then in perspective, that hurricanes that came through North Carolina washed out most roots in the Pisgah National Forest. And that was a federal catastrophe. It was an emergency response from FEMA. Every room was washed out. People couldn't get to their homes, they couldn't manage their businesses, they couldn't access their communities. Justifiably, that was a national emergency. In Utah, you can close 1.2 million acres of our roads, and it's a celebratory moment of environmental protection. It's not. And so we're gearing up to challenge all of these. We'll talk about some of the petitions and things we have doing. We just want everybody to be with us for these and make sure there's a strong public record of opposition to these. And what I want to add, and then I'll turn back to the room, is in our case that we're in the 10th Circuit with right now, it is a Ribbon Coalition. It is also a racing family in the Daltons, the mining claim owning family in the Kenworth. There's a Native American private property importer within the mining. We have a huge coalition of people who brought into that lawsuit. And there's two things really at play in that lawsuit. One is, can the public just challenge the presidential action matters? The president needed for this. Does he have presidential immunity? In order to make that case, you have to prove injury. So if this monument in Greenwood Lake is designated, we need folks who have interest in that area, who have economic interests, who have businesses whose communities can be served. And we want a broad range of them because if we need to litigate that monument, then we want to do it with everybody as opposed to not just our organization. And the other thing we're asking is the Antiquities Act. I mean, the judge asked the government lawyer 4 times, can the president designate every square inch of federal land in Utah to be a monument? And the lawyer wouldn't say no for the government. And he asked 4 times, like, that's not an answer. Can we do it? He's like, well, if they do it right, which means that they paper up and they identify some objects of historic or scientific value, yeah, they can do it. And that's, we know that Chief Justice Roberts has said that this can't be a power that is just unlimited. And we know the Supreme Court has an appetite to see a strong challenge to the Antiquities Act. And the Utah case is the furthest along, but we look at every line that the case designated to see if there's a litigation happening.
It's one that's what we're going to do is we're taking on some of these matters through litigation. And again, like you mentioned, we already talked a little bit about the variation between litigation and legislation and how we can fight this long term. As we're looking at those 4 proposed monuments that are in California, we have the right to light, of course. We have one for canyons, which is actually an over campaign, kind of like we did right now, gain maximum zones. And then we have an extensive map, which he has mentioned that I actually can't find a map for. He's so English, just trying to rush through. And one of the issues he has with the Antiquities Act designations is that it can happen with the stroke of a pen. And one president is willing to go ahead and sign a proclamation to designate a national monument can choose to do so of their own accord without taking in any public input or considering the impact that it has on people who live, work, and recreate in that particular area. We also have the choppy and the shore national monuments in Southern California. And can you share a little bit about the context of each of these monuments, their location and size and scope of impact?
Yeah, so Choppy, I have to look at our website on the site, but it's a few 100,000 acres. It's just out of the Joshua Tree National Park. It's really basically trying to expand the boundary of Joshua Tree National Park. And if you look at that on a map of ownership, half of it's like the checkerboard, the handful is a private property, which is going to be just a nightmare for the agency to manage. Which usually means the federal government's going to come and try to dispossess all of the owners of that private. And so that includes a new like the Mexico building system, the detail stuff, that's what we were about this from some of the Bradley Rules, I believe, with the crowd. So that's where our off-road community is engaged in that one. And then one is right next to military training base, right? Which raises big questions about national security. We saw in the Biden administration that they wanted to create more public conservation leases on our public lands, and there was no guarantee that those conservation leases wouldn't get sold to foreign-owned entities or foreign influence entities. And so to have a mine like this being running against military installations is hugely concerning, and nobody seems to be raising that concern. And what's however, that mine is down by land standards. That's actually included in land standards. It's about 400,000 acres, but one thing I want to point out there is whenever we're getting some rumblings about it's kind of undercover is the land between national land specifically very serious things of the Asian. We've got 1.3 million acres in Bears located at that. But no, they're not. They are filling in the lands between. They're literally calling it the lands between. If you think they're done just because it didn't include lands, that's not how this works. You see, you have the rights of lands connecting the parts, and they are trying to fill in all the gaps on the map that one person designated something. And so one thing I can comfort in the fact that they might have left out underrated to talk about that's coming next. And the other one about this is it goes straight over the border of Mexico. And as Bryce pointed out in this earlier slide, once you invest in something money, conservation becomes a priority in that plan. Protecting the mining projects becomes a priority. Now, it's a very important. That will become secondary to that. Now, we've seen that happen with mines in Arizona. It just seems kind of reckless to be putting a mine like this right up close to the southern border of Virginia.
It seems reckless, right? It's definitely not intentional. I'm going to compare thinking of this story here, a piece of information about these two limits. But these two actually border one another. If you look at the line, the southern border of the Tukwila line, and then the line, the northern border of the Tukwila, they match because they're actually are adjacent to one another. And so together they form about 1.1 million acres. And that would, when forming a attraction tree, create a massive band, kind of like we saw in that big band of wilderness in Central California, very, very resource. And I just want to make it clear, conservation itself is not bad. We can look at conservation, we just look at conservation in balance with other needs and uses that we have all historically, been engaged in on these areas for many, many generations. And so the security impacts, the resource impacts, the geopolitical impacts are all important. Another fact that you want to consider when you're looking at these very large scale landscape monument designations is that the resources are often quite critical. And some interesting dynamics between these two together is that the chocolate mountains run through the Krishna monument and then come through along the west side of the Tukwila monument. The largest gold deposit in the United States is located in the Choppy Mountains. And so I think it's no accident that we have a military shooting range sitting over them and then attempt to designate as a monument lands around and over them. Also, the eastern edge of the Salton Sea and below is one of the largest lithium deposits in the United States. And it's actually currently in the works a project to mine on that lithium. Which is like a $1.5 billion project that will come to fruition with that mining designation. But the placement of mines around resources like that is definitely not accidental, and it is part of the total impact. So, we have some information on how you can get involved in not only opposing the Ranger Light tonight, but when we get to the end, we'll share with you how you also proceed through some of the work that the Urban Coalition is doing. So quick segue in just providing a little bit of context on how the monuments are designated. There's only two routes. One is through Congress, and that's really the appropriate route that a monument should go through. The Antiquities Act, which permits the designation of monuments, identifies that a very specific and discrete object of value, you'll hear us using that term, object of value, has to be removed as the monument site. And then the smallest area of land surrounding that monument is what is considered appropriate to designate for the safekeeping of that monument. So monuments are typically like very ancient neighborhoods, burial sites, or sites of old villages, frontier villages, things like that. Some of our old forts from the Civil War and from our combat on the frontier lands have been listed as monuments, and those are all really appropriate uses of monument designation. They're usually really small, ranging anywhere from like 2 to 30 acres, and they surround a specific object of value that should be preserved for perpetuity for everybody to learn about and enjoy. In contrast, the monuments that we're talking about tonight, with the range of light, Jekyll's and Persona and others, are all what we call landscape level designations that comprise many hundreds of thousands of acres or over a million acres. And that's where the object of value is named is the landscape itself. And that's very clearly outside the bounds of what is appropriate for monument designation. So that's another piece of the overreach of government powers that we would like to rein in and hold accountable and make sure that these kinds of designations don't perpetuate over and over in the future. And as all the content during the week would be reasonable to accept. I'm going to try to make also get these slides out to everybody. So is it more about so the reason why was originally proposed through Congress is yes. And so I do want to note that if you wanted to get some more details about what's contained in the current proposal, it matches what was proposed in 2021. It hasn't changed. But it is important to note that an attempt was made to have our congressional representatives vote and approve this monument as they're representing us, the people. And that attempt failed because Congress could not justify designating this much land when they take into consideration the impacts that those sorts of numbers in the area. So here's that. Okay, so now one of our very hot topics today, we have a few. One of them is source management and catastrophic wildfire prevention. I know for anybody who lives in the Central Valley, foothills, or the mountains of the Central Sierra, you've all gone through, as I have, the Creek Fire, the Rough Fire, the Candy Complex Fire, and many others. Set up to mention over the last decade. And we've seen how those fires have decimated our landscape and turned our beautiful forests into literally charred ash and harmed the wildlife, taking away opportunities for cattle grazing, burned down homes and cabins and communities, and it's really been quite devastating. So when we're thinking about monument designation here, forest management and wildfire prevention becomes a very important topic to consider because the vision that's been laid out by United Parks is to return the land to the natural state, which is essentially very similar to a wilderness designation where it's hands-off management really between the land and wild. You rewild anything that they feel is not quite wild enough. And again, if you live in a regulated area or other business, you know that that hands-off approach where you've already had a lot of restrictions to logging, to fuel management, to vegetation reduction, has led to the conditions that some fires like the Creek Fire have very overly dense forests, just grow more and more vegetation around it, coming out through man-made uses like logging or biofuel or other methods. And it's been left to stand in that. And of course, that created conditions for barbecue, and that prevented even more fire and others. So I'm not going to say more to know how a lot of information coming from our panel, but really quickly, finding out the parts, one of the reasons that we have had such difficulty in achieving what needs to be done through logging and is because of organizations like Unite the Parks, where as one organization, they have themselves pursue 31 lighting projects really engaged in. These are projects that we would have extracting saleable timber or just timber that needed to be scrapped to create a healthier landscape. United response is that we shouldn't be touching woods in that way. And so they've been actively engaged litigation to stop projects that were approved and funded through the Forest Service to make sure that chainsaws, shovels, and tractors don't get so that's an important piece to keep in mind. There's some slides that are bringing us go past that and get to Tom Poppy. Tom is CEO at the Center and I'm going to hand it over to Cheryl Remarks.
Thank you, Rose. And clicker. I'm in trouble now as I get a clicker. So yes, I'm a forest economist. I go very closely to the four generations here in the Sierras. About 25 years ago, I was sitting actually right here in some of these meetings in this building, Sierra Forest. I can sit here like you folks and kind of affiliate to myself for the next 25 years where I can do something about it. So I packed up and went back for a piece of spaghetti after my name told me that I at least needed to have something I could talk about with forest economics. That led me on a path basically looking at forest fuels reduction and how to mitigate wildfire hazard. And really the big elephant in the room is the cost of wildfires. And when I started looking at this as a researcher, I thought, wow, this is the elephant in the room that our government is not really taking a serious look at it. That led me down a path of getting involved in bioenergy development for the last 20 years. And we started a company here in the Sierras called Center Clean Energy, based here in Fresno, from Mariposa. That we take wood that's burning, dying, and rotting, and we can make it into biofuels, hydrogen, aviation fuel, green diesel, or even methane. So I'm just going to look at the slide here. We have those slides right here.
Yep, there's such a good. There you go.
So basically, I don't have to tell you, we already talked about the wildfires in California, it's the elephant room over 11 million acres over the last decade. What's really kind of the elephant room as far as the cost is they came out with a report about a year ago with the U.S. Senate basically analyzing the true cost of all the wildfires. And it is shocking. And if you look at the numbers here, it's over 300 million with a B, over 890 billion, yes, with a B, per year over the last decade. Now let's just kind of press that down right here where we're talking about our backyard in Sierra Forest on the right. And we have about a third of our Sierra Forest burned over the last basically decade. And the associated costs by taking, kind of translate from the Senate report over to the right-hand side over here. We're looking at about $1 billion what's coming out of the taxpayers' pockets. We're losing all the values that Rose has talked about for not only recreation and all the other values. But that has a real cost. And I think one of the big questions we stand back, listening to why this should be a congressional decision that has a chance for people to get opinions, looking at the costs and benefits. Nobody here would go out and say, hey, we're going to build a house to a budget and count the costs. And that's kind of the issue here. But I count the costs, but it's going to take to manage all these lands that they want to protect. They say it. But it goes back to this whole philosophy that land needs to be managed. We talk about this walking in here, you left your garden out there for 5 years, walking in the backyard, you're going to see one heck of a mess in your yard, right? You have to manage these forests right in the garden that need to be managed. The other part of kind of the principle of this was the pictures here. Nelda Grove was a place I grew up. Took kids there for about 2 decades. It got nuked in the railroad fire. And the rest of us in Sierra, we had nearly 20% of the giant sequoias had been destroyed by wildfire. That's a personal passion. When I met King Charles for the first time at COP26, we had our Samuel Clean little band there, and he asked me this question: are we going to lose all of the sequoias due to the wildfires in California? That's a big question. If we don't act in terms of managing, we have a huge risk. Again, if you want to look at the details of the Senate report, this is another thing to talk to your folks in Congress, your local folks. These costs are shocking. If you add it all up and divide it by acres, it would come over to over $50,000 an acre of the cost if you add it all up. And some of the top ones are basically the real estate values are pretty obvious, but the wildfire smoke, people don't realize the smoke and healthcare costs. Look how huge that is. $200 billion. Okay. Obviously, the other issues, watershed costs, they did the Hayman county back in 2003, the city of Denver lost $1 billion just to restore the watershed. So these are issues that are important for us to consider why managing this here forest was really a good mind. Another issue is the wildfire severity. We've had an aha moment. Sorry, I couldn't find your map because they haven't published it yet on the Creek Fire. But they said that basically about 40% is the highest severity impact of this wildfire, the soil severity. So if you look at it, basically what it does to the soils, basically make it like a parking lot. Hydrophobic soils do not penetrate water. We can't get trees to regrow, it comes back fresh. We had a huge issue that 40% is a lot of the land base that's going to be just crushed for many generations before we can see that forest. The even bigger issue is this whole climate topic. And I know there's different sides and opinions, but if we really take climate serious, yes. And I asked Secretary John Kerry this straight up here a couple years ago at a reception event. I said, we're doing all this carbon accounting in the world, but we don't include wildfire. We're missing the point because this is the elephant in the room. We have almost as many emissions from wildfires as we do all of the emissions in California. 2020 is the second highest in chart in the range. So if we're really serious about carbon and all this stuff in climate, we have to manage our forests and reduce the fires. We can, with intentional management, reduce at least 80% of that wildfire, not only the risk, but the associated fire acreage and the damage, all the severity that it's talking about. Again, the why, I don't have to tell probably anybody in this room, if you look at the Sierra National Forest, we've over doubled the number of trees in the last 100 years are out there. You add drought and all the stuff they talk about climate. Bottom line is we just have too many straws in the cup. Everything is turning into dead trees. We got 150 million in the whole Sierra. And that's part of the issue. Managing these trees, we can't just let it be natural, like we said, a natural ecosystem. Double the trees and they're dead. The wildfires are going to be the solution. Nature's going to take care of it. We need to mechanically thin, reduce the fuel, take that biomass, and I'll talk about this a bit. We can utilize that instead of being a liability and a cost of billions of dollars. We can make it into $1 billion of fuel. This report, this is a slide. The watershed, I don't know how to do it. Basically, they did a study on the management of California's forests, and it said that 10% of our water use would increase. That means several million acre feet of water for this valley, for farmers, for people that don't have an economy. And it basically ties the forests to the farmers. And so it's not a reason why you can't just block this up. We need to manage it, to allow the water to flow and help that keep the valley jobs that are good for the valley. Then I apologize for my this is the whole Sierra of 14 million acres in this headwaters, and that's a significant amount of acreage. That's what keeps California not only alive in the economy, but keeps people in the cities. They need to realize where their water comes from. Back on the science of this, somebody's asking me, why should we cut the trees? A lot of people are opposed to actually managing. Maybe 50, 60 years ago, we couldn't get to the level of details of science. We have the best environmental laws and protections in this state and in this country, in the world. We have satellite data, with ground data. We have computer AI models that basically account for everything from walks, crawls, flies, or swims. There's nothing that can go under the radar when it comes to stewardship. We manage these forests. We can give a true account to the public and stand here on this stage and tell people that, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to impact, here's the pluses and minuses, and that's something that we didn't have 40, 50 years ago that we have today. Looking at the cost, we just had to go out to the Sierra Forest and implement 500,000 acres of fuel treatment, say 25 tons an acre. We're looking at about $1 billion program of liability coming out of taxpayer dollars, and we just don't have that. We have a few $1 million here that's trickling in the California thinning projects. Some folks on the stage here doing that hard work. I've been some myself, still doing that dirt on fingernails. But that's a lot of money to be able to do the work that's needed to be done. If we flip that around, I don't know what happened to my slides here, something's going on with PowerPoint. But we can take basically this wood that's burning, dying, and rotting. I apologize, this is supposed to be a gasification slide. We can use this gasification, we can take wood into a gas and make biofuels. We equate about, for 1 ton of wood, we can make 77 kilograms of hydrogen, about 65 gallons of biofuel, which is like aviation fuel or diesel. If you take that and look at what that does, instead of throwing away all this wood, which is we're chewing up and burning it, or wildfires to take care of, we can create nearly $800 a ton of value. When I ran some quick numbers here in the Sierra, we can generate nearly about $400+ million a year over say, a 20-year program. And there'll be like a $9.5 billion program that would generate revenue. So instead of begging through more subsidy dollars and hoping the Forest Service will come along, this can pay for itself and create jobs in the rural economy. That's why there's so many things we're here. We have the technologies, we have all the patents and the guarantees, it's got performance guarantees, and the markets. We've signed basically a 10-year uptake for hydrogen in the state of like all the hydrogen we can produce. So again, back to conclusions. Why should we consider managing our forests versus having money? It's pretty clear because healthy forests need management. In fact, there's nothing wrong with forests. I love them. Broken Yosemite is my backyard. There's a place for conservation. But when we've had logging and fire suppression in our forest practices for 100 years, it's a totally different ecosystem that was here when first settlers came to the state. You can't just go back and just throw this into Walt Disney and order the dam and you think we're going to just look at it and let nature take its course. It will destroy these forests. And I'm saying here because I love the Sierra National Forest. I've grown up there, spent my playground. I want my children and my children's children to see green forests. The rest of the stuff, there's a website that you can look at if you know more details here. But really, the main issue is that nature-based solutions will pay. There's more to gain by managing this land than just letting it be static. And I think with that, I'll just turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tom. And one of the things about the work that Tom is doing is that he is determining what would be just excess biomass. We have so much extra fuel up in our mountains that is hazardous for wildfires. He's turning that into fuel that we can all use. Hydrogen, diesel, they're making things that are really, really clean energy and inexpensive to do when you look at the cost ratio. So that's the solution that we need to be pursuing further. Also, just for some quick context, when he talks about historic conditions of the landscape versus what we have now, the healthy ratio of trees per acre in this dry coniferous forest that we have in the Sierra National Forest is 80 to 100 trees per acre. And this land has always been managed by humans because long before settlers came, Native Americans actively managed the land to keep it high condition for hunting, for gathering, and foraging, and they actively removed trees and underbrush to cultivate that healthy landscape because that was their home. And so we've never had an era for many hundreds of years in which the landscape has not been actively managed. By contrast, the amount of fuel that we have per acre today, where the highest number is 800 to 1,000 trees per acre. So it's more than like 100 times what it should be. And we could be turning that excess biomass into hydrogen, diesel, and all sorts of other amazing products that help us and maybe bring our energy costs down. So let's transition to Kirby. So Kirby One is resource management general song. Go ahead.
Yes, well, I'm scared. This is scary. I'm a speaker. I jotted down some notes, and I'm going to read off these notes. And if I would have thought about it, I would have tapered them a little bit. But there's times in life when you don't taper, when you ramp up. And so I'm just going to read these notes. I'm an old man, and sometimes old men don't care. Bear with me. My name is Kirby Mullen, and I'm the resource manager for Sierra Forest Products in Carmel, California. I've worked in the forest products industry for 49 years. I have 2 college degrees in my profession. I'm a registered professional forester in the state of California. My license is number 2313, and I have maintained my forester's license since July of 1986. Said more crudely, I come with street credibility on the southern Sierra forest conditions. As my late father would say, I know when I speak. Sierra Forest Products is a long-remaining large lumber manufacturer south of the Columbia County, the smaller ones for the lone large one left. We rely on the Sequoia and Sierra National Forest for supply of raw materials for our sawmill. Now, some of us are, I'm just maybe a little bit unique here, but I've lived this before. I've dealt with this stuff before. The jackass or whatever. We've seen the impacts of national monuments in the past, and they are not good. In fact, the results are horrible. In 1999, then President Bill Clinton planted a meadow field in Bakersfield, California, on Air Force One on April 15, 2000. He then boarded Marine One and flight to the Trail of 100 Giants, where he declared the giant Sequoia National Monument south of here, Tulare County. I was there in the crowd as Marine One flew over my head. As I recall, the giant Sequoia National Monument was declared again against the American Antiquities Act of 1806. It was declared with one page. A one-page document that made a statement with the president's name on it. If you went out to try and split a piece of land, the documents would be nearly thick. One page. Something wrong with that. Sierra Forest Products during the 1990s operated a large production sawmill in the small town of Tulare. That sawmill has been in business since 1948. And it relied on raw materials from within the giant Sequoia footprint. That sawmill in Dynamo closed in midsummer 2000. In other words, 3 or 4 or 5 months later, we closed that sawmill down because of the monument declaration, never to open again. The human toll was the termination of a lifestyle employment of approximately 120, I don't mean men, women, I mean families. Never to open again. Our current sawmill in Terrabillo was reduced to 2 shifts to 1 shift. The human toll of this monument was catastrophic, and it just occurred because of the resulting restrictions on management activities within the forest created by the monument. In a document, and I was looking at this today, in a document produced by the National Park Service in 2021, it states that the mega fire incident of 2020, and this is just one of those incidents, called the Council Fire, resulted in killing, and this is their group, 10% to 14% of all large sequoias across the tree's natural range in the Sierra Valley. Killed them, they're dead. You can go find them. Additional fires have killed up to 20% plus of the existing large giant sequoia specimen trees. Completely dead, never to recover, mainly due because of lack of management on the acreage being declared a national monument. Our Native American friends sometimes refer to these giant sequoia specimen trees as the ancients. Now, just plant that in your head. Some of those trees are, you see them, and they just don't need a jack right there. They're huge. Based on my professional experience and my past history in the first monument, I believe the environmental impacts of the Range of Light Monument will be catastrophic. The impact on the environment and human toll will cause huge damage to the culture of Mariposa and Madero residents counties. I might have thought about this beforehand and changed it. I'm not going to change this. I urge you not to believe any of the promises from the supporters of the Range of Light Monument based on what happened in his past with the giant sequoias. Bear with me. Last page. On these monuments, there is little as citizens. And this may be a great statement, but I'm going to throw it out there. Because in general, that there's strategies out here to combat this. But let me just continue there just a little. We as citizens can do to stop the current president from declaring these acres as a monument. I will say, as a God-fearing man, my prayer is that the Range Line Monument will never be established, and the people of the counties impacted will continue to be free to use the lands of the Sierra National Forest as they were originally intended. To access and enjoy the domain. And there's many other things. We need access to this land. We don't need to be locked up. And I'll finish up with this. I guarantee with all my professional knowledge that if this Range of Light Monument is allowed to be declared, mega fires such as the Creek fires we have experienced in the past will continue to burn vast acreages. In addition, many of the giant sequoias located within Elmer Grove and McKinley Grove will ultimately be doomed to fiery death. I believe history from the past, giant Sequoia National Monument will prove that to be so. In closing, do not believe what you're being told by the supporters of the monument, but look to the past as an example of what will happen in the future.
And we do have to look at history for learning from it and not repeat it. So that's what we're using today. I want to say we're actually making good time. So nothing else to do. So I don't want to for much. But we're spending a lot of time on forestation because it is so central to this Ranger Lake proposal. Next we have Jack Berger, who's president of Southport Forest Solutions. And between Tom and Jack, we actually have some other foresters and owners in the audience. Thank you for coming up and joining us tonight. We have such a wealth of knowledge of what is needed to do that. So let me hand it over to Jack.
Hi, my son is the president of Southport. Can you hear me? Facts here, and I want you to know one thing, that there's nothing natural about the Sierra National Forest and the parks. It is not a natural setting. When my family settled there in Southport on the ranch of the Peckerpaws, they said, oh, you can run the horse to the top of Peckerpaw Mountain to Peckerpaw Meadow. I sent jokers there in 1979 and the helicopter. And they could not only ride a horse or a motorcycle, I had to crawl through the damn brush to get around. So what happens with this thing is it's ever evolving. When I grew up in the 60s there, they called the Sierra the asbestos forest. It get burned. And it grew and grew and grew. If you were a kid wanting to go cut more wood, you really had to look hard. And what happened was it just grew so many trees. And you get this, it's a Mediterranean climate, or whatever, you get storms every 10 years. And they couldn't sustain it. And that's when I went to work with one of the helicopters in 79, and we were on a salvage boat and on Peckerpaw there. And Howard Kwan, he was a timber management officer on the Forest Service, and I said, geez, there's probably 50 million feet up there. And he said, no, I think there's only 30. Well, right now, there's 83 loads of logs left on that hill. It's a real shame, and I want to bring up a couple of things here. Our company, we I was filing with a 50-ton shovel and you couldn't put it in this room. And to make a pile and to burn it is a real shame. But they're cleaning it up and they're going to plant it and it'll be better in 10 years. But it's a real shame that that has to happen like that. And I want to mention things. The Giants acquired emergency response that came over there a couple years ago. The Forest Service to try to do something about not burning up all the giant sequoias. And my son and I did a couple of them down in the sequoia there, Indian Basin and Long Meadow. That's where we said, send it to them to designate the monument there. Well, I logged at 600 acres last, or 2 years ago, and I can tell you, they didn't make a good decision because I saw 50,000-year-old trees plus that perished in that fire. So, yeah. And you know where the fire trees get in? It's 13,500 acres, but they wanted to reduce the fuel loading around the sequoia so they would survive. That was a good thing. Well, what about the rest of the forest? I want to tell you, in my travels, you don't have to, if you pay attention, you like what you're doing, some of it's going to rub off on you. You don't have to be too smart. So, when I'm wandering around in the woods, you see a big yellow pine, monrose pine, or sugar pine. On the other side of one is 300 or 400 years old, and there's a cat case, like where the fire that burned out around it, and on the other side. And like lightning fires, every 70 to 50 years, that tree is fire. Well, in the Creek Fire, we don't have those trees. Not cool. And what I say is to people that get the picture of this whole thing in 1900. And here we are, we burned up 20% of the giant sequoias, and all the big, a lot of the big pine on different forests I've worked in, different states. And what's going on here is dynamics. We have a lot of rain, soils, it's sporadic, it's a beautiful place to be. But if we turn this into this automatic interior, it'll be catastrophic because these trees, dead trees are going to collapse. Who's going to volunteer in a bunch of snags, a bunch of timber that's down on the ground and try to put a line around it on a flapping fire? They're not going to. So, as Kirby said, we're going to have a catastrophic fire. And the tree that's standing doesn't burn as well as one. But I can tell you that they're coming down on the ground. And that's why, the Forest Service stuff, they're trying to do as much as they can. And that's a good thing. But if the Department of Interior gets it, my family, we go to the pool. We did go down the pool for 30 years straight to try and farm. And every time I go up there, it's 365 acre that Clover Meadow. And I went out there and it just bothered me to go through there and look at all that interior. And I would tell myself, it's so beautiful to get, which is a shame, but I had to do that to get to that point. So anyway, I just think that we gotta get in, and if you want it to be natural, the way it was 200 years ago, you gotta fire up some chainsaws, get some markets, and get things cleared out, and then use fire as a maintenance tool to keep it that way. And then all the roads can go to making electricity and be a byproduct for the song. So that's what needs to happen. And so much to do about this market. This is
And So we have a plan in place that makes sense and allows us to execute. We're currently on our entire and even though I have 20 million words in sort of focused international words every year, systematic operation. And so this automated proposal is designated that will eradicate their supply chain operation territorial victim of the downfall of someone else in California. We're going to find someone else that this is going on. And so it's very important for that regards. Last thing I want to mention on the forest piece is that the Southwest International Forest, they're of course not able to make a formal position on this as the judge mentioned. It is limited to National Park Service Department of the Interior, where the U.S. Forest Service runs under the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So those federal agencies, they run under different branches of the operating budget. Anyhow, they're sister agencies. So International Forest, they're discontinued position. They can't come out and make it to the higher state. But they have provided some really comprehensive and helpful information on why active management of the forest looks like and what they are trying to do despite being impacted by the issues. And I just can have the background here for you to know. So we have put our copies on the table with a couple of people up front. And every time we grab a copy, it's too much that we will be able to never have time here tonight. So I agree with what I have. But it goes into even more detail about what has been on transition to various operations and provide more context. So moving on, I also want to introduce Jeff. I know, welcome back to the to educate myself on what the proposal was. What's the room Saturday was okay, so I lost like you guys, yeah, right. It's and so like when you're listening to the rifle request sounded like she was taking a victim back, like, and just for tone, like this was another deal. That's like motivated me through my wife Jill's record. Jill has started a Facebook page some of you guys might be on this. And he was the one looking at is exactly what we see our purpose is, which is getting the word out, getting LPD and fired up, getting everybody down and organizing and being active and engaged with someone. A couple of things real quick I'll say. I'm really glad to hear about the litigation on yes. It's called education because it's designed to protect, Native Americans as really the stealing of sites that around the turn of the century. And there was no mechanism really for Congress or any law enforcement to really act on that. So that's why it was born. And it specifically says in the language, I think you already noticed it, that it's primarily there to protect small objects or native sites or important historical sites at the smallest footprint necessary. It says that in the law. Right.
we also work with a lot of our county partners, that's our resource conservation development council, as well as our fire safety council, on increasing the pace and scale of projects. Because we understand that we need to do more projects within those public and private lands in order to create more fire safe and more resilient communities, right? And so, one of those organizations we do a lot of work with is called the Resource Conservation and Development Council. Is it helpful? I'm also happy to be the president of that organization. But that nonprofit actually goes out, they secure millions of dollars worth of grants. They have what's called a master stewardship agreement with our service, which means they're kind of a preferred partner for Forest Service to come onto their land and do work on our land, I should say, and do that needed forest management work. Because what we know is that you cannot preserve something that is in a state of disrepair. And as some of these folks who are much more intelligent than state already, our forests are very sick. We have very dense forests, we have very powerful ones. In fact, I was reporting with previous county supervisor Gary Gilbert, who were reviewing some literature from 1990, in which he was stating that at that time, our fuel was way too high. Of course, you remove a lot of you have stories of those projects. Since that time, 30 more years of investigation and we're left what we have today. So again, we cannot preserve what is going to be there. Again, we go back to one of my other priorities, which is the economic prosperity of the people I represent, right? So in Madera County, about 70% of our discretionary dollars, about $7 million, $8 million a year, comes from what's called transient occupancy tax. So that's what people who come visit and stay in Madera County. We also have about 11% of our discretionary budget is from sales tax. So what that means to me is when we have a reduction in people that come and live, stay, and play in Madera County, that affects my ability to fund essential services. And so in Madera County, 76% of our discretionary dollars actually go to public safety. And so when we have dips in sales tax, when we have dips in people coming to state, like we saw this tax order as a result this is the access management reservation system. I'm not sure if you folks are all familiar with that. But we still did in visitation at that time, not impacts our ability to provide essential services that I said. So whether that is our fire station and owners or our homeless coordinators in the sheriff's office, those services are impacted when people come to visit. And so I'm deeply concerned by any effort that would change the visitation patterns of the folks who like to come visit us in the Sierra Natural Forest. In fact, we want to increase the amount of visitation that happens in the forest. And so that's why through the Sequoia Resource Conservation and Development Council, not only are we looking to increase the scale of forest management projects, we're actually looking to see how we can bring more roads back into the Forest Service management system. Because we know there's a lot of roads out there that took out the system back in 2012, 2013. We want to take a look at some of those roads and see if we can find a way to mitigate the impacts of the use of those roads and bring them back into the system. Because we know that's what the people want. We want to see in force. We want to see folks working with provided partners. So I think I've heard from forestry staff in the past that they want to be in the business of retaining plants, not cutting plants. And what that means is they honestly want to partner with the team. They want to partner with folks like the stewards and the Sierras, who when the county was able to get them $350,000 post fire, they were able to clear 27 miles of roads, along with 36 miles of trails, with $350,000. I'd like to see Forest Service publish that. We think about this proposal. It's for me, it's something that I will never do. Not just the content in which in the document, but the manner in which I think those such before. We try to do this through legislative action at a certain point. And so now they're taking another action. They're going to have the president alone. But we talked about the Forest Service land management plan, but we didn't talk about the fact that it took them 10 years to develop that land management plan. There's a lot of reasons for that, and it's not just because government is slow. It's because we see a rapidly changing environment within our forests. We see more fires, we see tree mortality, we see bark beetles, we see the forest changing. And so what we have to do is we have to reevaluate how we're going to manage the forest. And when we were done receiving comments from not just local jurisdictions, not just experts in forest health, not just the environmentalists, but when we saw comments from all the communities, all the stakeholders, we're left with a document that I think everybody can be proud of. That's a document that took 10 years to create. And so why would we replace that document with something that is more of an idea? Right? It's a target focus. That's not how we do business. That's not how we do business in the county. That's not how we do business in the United States. It's unfair. And so for me, that's my biggest problem. And we go back to the Antiquities Act. And so I think that's why there's a need for continued action as we move forward. So with that, go ahead and pass it back to us.
It's really important that we have the support of our local governments, and it's important to note that all 4 counties that border this proposed range like Martin, from University County to Dow, Fresno, Maine, Toledo, and South Bend, where it isn't necessarily precisely touch the major right borders, so it's right there. And even joining us, all 4 county boards of supervisors from those counties have sent letters to Biden, as well as to other agencies within the federal government, to urge them to not sign this proposed legislation. So I think we have much encouragement for that, and I thank you, Bobby, for joining with us. We also have there's so much more to say. Yeah, we also have the support of Congressman Vince Long, who is our recent replacement for Speaker Kevin McCarthy, and the district he represents is actually doing the footprint of this proposed national monument. And so we have one of Congressman Long's staff members, I will make us today. Thank you for allowing me here tonight. One of my favorite things to say is I'm from the government and I'm here at home. He's currently here in my votes tomorrow and second we make it. But that's just saying that it is terrifying to hear. I mean, you're big government, local governments, large, small communities, and to have big government kind of step in and say, hey, we're going to make this big portion and we're going to take away a lot of the things you guys can do here. That's a little scary. I don't know why they do that. We have so many jobs. I mean, raise your hand if you have a job that is impacted by this. We've got a lot here because it's a big deal. And the congressman just, he wants to say that, no, you're not going to support that. So it's for the course of being a public lands and being able to learn constituents do that. We don't have a lot of the actual monument itself, but our constituents are impacted by it, and it affects everyone here. I know it affects me. I am an avid hiker and outdoors person. I love to fly fish and go out, and all of that kind of stuff is impacted by this. So I don't have much to say yet. I've worked with different tribes in our community, the Tonawalla tribe and Tule River tribe. We've done tribe work before we see what's helped, and when you put something like this in effect, you can't do that stuff, and if you do, you have to go through a lot more bureaucratic loops, and it's not easy to do that, and we don't want to do that to you guys. So I'll be talking to you later about some stuff, but that's kind of the overview, and I'll always be available if you guys are ready. We also have a surprise guest tonight from Morning Summer in the County Hall's office. So we do That was one of the greatest confidence. So really appreciate that. So we're going to segue away from force management and welfare prevention. We also touched on some economic impacts, and we are now getting to the workers. We do want to talk about outdoor recreation access because that's a big piece of how their national parks is enjoyed. So to start us off, I just want to quickly show you a map of the United Parks vision for what roads remain open. As you can see, in the full span of that 1.4 million acres, this is literally the number of roads that would remain open. And the gray ones you can see 168 going up to Edison and Florence, you can see Dinky Murder towards Margaret. Now there's a handful of the burn roads that would remain in everything else would be closed or changed in status so that nobody can traverse them. Additionally, the parks that remain open are only accessible by street legal vehicles, which is really important. That means then that all of your ATVs or UTVs, side by sides, most of your jeeps, most of your overlanding vehicles would not be able to even enter this area anymore. That's all the people who make tractors and those that everyone has a tractor holiday. By contrast, here's a map of Sierra National Forest as it exists today. We're over 200 miles in, you can see incredibly on that. We have a lot of access, nice well-managed access. As you'll know when you get out there are little pockets of little tiny lakes and people who can access. And there's people around created so you can privately there or take pictures of birds, whatever it is you like to do. You get to enjoy all of that with well-managed forests and access. And so this is one of the key things that we don't want to have taken away. So to start off on this section, we have students from the National Forest joining us. And so we're going to go a little bit more into it and just let me know how many slides.
Well, thank you, Rose. I really appreciate that. My name is Mike Wilson, president of Sierra National Forest, and we got started back in 2008 during the travel management rule, which is for everybody's familiar with. They wanted to take away cross-country travel. And originally we started out to plan that, and pretty soon we turned out that's what worked with Forest Service to work with them, and it became one of the key tools for management on the forest. A couple of things that are happening this year. This show alone, the steroids, which have throughout the forest every Wednesday, weather permitting, put in 3,660 volunteer hours. That's pretty amazing. Okay. We cleared over 112 miles of roads and trails. We installed over 30 workers. This year was kind of a low year for us. We only took out 1,235 trees. That's it. Now, previous year, we generally average around 3,000 to 5,000 trees that were coming down across the roads and trails. We cleared a lot of culverts, we moved a lot of rocks. You know, the accident thing with the rains is just bad all around. We already have connected corridor, wilderness areas, set rest trail, connects everything out there. I just don't think we need it anymore. I think the forest is strapped in what they can do with the funding that they get, and they completely rely on volunteer groups. A lot of you out there are all part of volunteer groups, and I take my hat off to all of you out there. Everybody knows the sacrifice that volunteers put in, their time, their efforts, their expenses. It's really important, and I believe that our forest supervisor, Dean, will understand that Volunteer services are an integral part of that. Recreation is a huge thing. Recreation, the state of California has increased over 1,500% in the last 10 years. That's pretty phenomenal. People want to get out. People just don't want to stay home. They want to get out. They want to get out. They want to recreate. They want to spend time with their families. And so I think recreation is really important. And I believe that brings life is really a bad thing. Thank you. I'm kind of their rules and trail guy. Retired city forces, Michigan. A couple of things I wanted to say about United Parks. Um, I really encourage you to go to that site. Take a look at it, check out all the information you have, because if you're new to this and you go to that site, you look at it and it's very compelling. You know, you say, wow, this is a great project, I'm going to jump on board. The only problem is, most of it is not true, and most of it is not true. Again, please go to the site, check it out, go to the videos. It's amazing how the videos pick out specific areas, where she shows, for example, logging decks and, and all these huge trees that cut, but they don't tell you why they were cut. That they were part of fire, fire amplifiers, things of that sort, where they will show you pictures of tractors, tracks from tractors and heavy equipment. He doesn't explain why they're there. She explains that this is what's causing the problem. No attack the person, but we need to attack the rules that she has. So hopefully at the end of the day, the league will be able to do that. A couple of things I wanted to share with you. As I mentioned, I'm kind of a racist, so guys and numbers and all this stuff. But on the Sierra National Forest, there is roughly 2,800 miles of road total. That includes paved roads, uh, roads that are gravel, dirt roads. Of that, there is about 1,600 miles that are classified as level 2 roads. And these are the roads that most students use to go out with this camp. And these are the roads that are going to be closed if this goes through. So, folks that like to go out and do the express camping, and get out away from other groups, you're going to have to hunt. That affects, I don't know how many people here are under 50, but that affects a lot of us. I'm going to really encourage you to take a look at the proposals, check out the executive summary that was written and submitted to the president in August of 2024. And so also take a look at the other thing I thought was striking in their economic report. They indicated that this was going to be a boom to our area and bring in much needed funds. Yes, and out of all this in the economic report, indicated that we would only have a loss of 65 jobs. Now, I can tell probably 40 that I know right off the bat, but I just, it's kind of like a little bit of garbage in, garbage out. These are the kinds of things that influence people that sign it off. So, again, please get engaged, get involved, and check out the
Thank you so much, Steve. And students from National Forest, like Robin mentioned, they do phenomenal work, especially these slides, kind of detailing things. But here were the key rivers that this super rivers control, not just for members recreation, but for everybody. If you like to hunt, to fish, to camp, ride your mountain bike, ride your horse, you get there many times and catch the stewards, as well as the rivers as you were maybe beside it. So thank you for all that you do, stewards. I also wanted to welcome Amy Grant, who is here from California Outdoor Legal Association. Welcome, Amy. It does my heart good to see all of you here. What we need actually is all of you to apply the other 18 bars that we have in California. Because this is available to everyone in California, no matter where you live. What it is that people have decided that they know better than you how you should live and what you should do. And there's something that's very, very wrong in that system. And so all of you need to talk to your friends, you need to talk to your family. Portland becomes forward. We are there for you. We are at these meetings. Thank you to the gentleman, Richard Chapman, because I don't know these Chapman, so I know the problem. There are people like this, and this will lead us back to this what we find in this all the time. The other national monuments that are proposed to FIBA, I received invitation for a special industry in less than 24 hours in Wairika, we $45 from Sacramento. I didn't even have enough time to make the arrangements. This is for the Forest Service. We were very special when I got this invitation. No remote participation at all. What this means is the listening section means they're going to tell you what they want to do, and they're going to do it regardless of what you say. This is not a moment for government, this is not a moment for managing our forests, and this is not a moment that we need to support. Sierra National Forest is actually very lucky. Dean Gold and a lot of his staff, they are much better than on a lot of the other forests. Trust me when I say this. We've got Stanislaus just to the north, a lot worse. We're going through several villages now in the El Dorado, Lewis, and Choppy National Forest. And there are the people want to tell us that this miraculous thing is running over snow, and the snow is the end of the season, and you don't know where it goes. That actually harms the environment. You actually know who harms the environment. It's consistent with the message that they want to tell you. They want to convince you they're right, you're wrong, common sense doesn't apply. And the more we stay quiet, the less we fight, the more we irate. I have been accused of having been enough time. It's true. But it's standing with people every day, whatever is needed. But we need all of you to do the same. We need all of you to support the teams that the River Coalition has. We need all of everyone to work together in this just as Rose has done such a wonderful job of bringing everyone together. This is an amazing meeting, and we need to do this much, much more to fight against the forces that really want to limit what you can do. So thank you for being here. I'm just going to say the Church National Monument was one of the ones we've been working on for a year. It never told me on the OHC area. It's a real OHC area. It's very important to people living in the desert. I spoke to one of the organizers from an organization in Colorado, and I said, "How are you doing this? I mean, what is your motivation?" And he said, "Well, we want to stop getting alternative energy development." And I said, "That's not listening to their anyways, you know." Well, we just don't want people to do what they're doing. So I said, so all of this is because you want to stop people from enjoying this place in public land. He didn't really answer me, but that was an acknowledgement. And we won't let it happen. Our board won't let it happen. Corbin won't let it happen. And with you we won't let it happen. Thank you. I usually have, many hours, and there's so much more that I know, even teaching and the other stuff here tonight. So we'll have to follow the information that we share, and of course, the call to action is that you can get involved in urgency. So, but yeah, other people that I want to share, so we can do Q&A. So one more time, for closing, so we'll address. I'm representing services and employers. I've been past president and served with them for over a decade. I'm from Oklahoma and respond for the labor force. Until I got involved before we even dealt with it. And when I heard about this national monument, I was offended. I was offended because last time I practiced here national force, and first force was the national. The one place to recreate. And when they say they're taking it away from them to give it to the National Park Service, you have to ask yourself, why? Well, with the stroke of a pen, the president can create this national monument to take away national to this Park Service. Well, with the stroke of a pen, the next president, can change that. But if the Forest Service has lost all its employees, how do you go back to where it was? Okay? The other thing that really is offensive is everything that's wrong is a conservation, right? The people that live or recreate there care about themselves. Most of us volunteer we work with the forces, we don't pay, and we try to keep the girl system healthy, whether it's from animals, whether it's other sites, jeeps and whatnot, whether it's for horseback community, whether it's the cattle community. We want everybody to enjoy the forest. What this act is doing on this proclamation is take all that away. And, it's just not the right decision for us, it's not the right decision for the community. Economically, it's going to be devastating. So we talk about logging industry, but it will also affect everybody who sells these side by sides, everybody who builds their teams, every company that services them. They're going to be out of business. Not to mention this first camping, because now you can't do that. You will be allowed to camp in, developed campgrounds. If anybody's going to round up the forest here, there aren't going to be developed campgrounds in the forest. So access is going to be very limited. And the other folks who will be impacted will be the people in Huntington who have these beautiful cabins on the family estates. This Forest Service land, it will now be national monument. So the likelihood is that is going to go away, and those homes will come out. These people who invested hundreds of thousands of dollars will not. So it's just not fair. If they're going to do this, it's all go to Congress. We all want to have a voice in this, and let it go through and be aired out. Let's all have it. So that's it. And I just want to mention that just like stewards, folks in the country, and Corva and Concord, in collaboration with these groups, also maintaining facility like so, clean up the toilets, the signs, all our investigators as we volunteers. But there's many other forms of recreation that are critical to the health of Sierra National Forest and conservation of species and preserving habitat. So I'm really pleased to have Ray Costello from Colorful Wildlife here representing hunting and fishing. Yeah, so Lindsay, levels of conservation is important downstream from all of these other uses. We require wildlife to be there, healthy ecosystems, healthy forests, successional habitat, which is basically the trees go away and they start going back and you get new habitat, and all that works for us. Health and wildlife was born after 2 years of attacks of bears in California. The anti-US United States Humane Society tried to take away sustainable harvest of black bears in California. And Alpha Wildlife was born during that fight, and we realized that we, as hunters, we thought we're always going to lose. We're always going to get a bonus hit with
values were. And our values were not the slogan, which is like the wild-eyed, crazy, maniac slaughter, versus going out there dropping shooting. We weren't on that. And so we started to have to talk about our values, and it started to work. Because no longer were the anti-gunners defining the dialogue. And I think what's critical here, Colorado has been involved in campaigns in 30 states. We've been involved in wins in Colorado, both in their Senate as well as this last year when Matt won and Lindsay was attempting to get through a proposition about hospitality. But we were pivotal to the conversation that was happening there where we activated grassroots folks nationwide and also in Colorado to help win that battle against that. What I'm telling you this is that you have agency. You have the ability to advocate for yourself and speak your value statements about why this sport is important to you, why it means exercise, why it means recreation, why it means why OHV is good, why hunting is good. Everything about the multiple use mandate, what it means to you, because it means something different to everyone of you. The multiple use mandate is something that's treasured in terms of our public lands. That every one of you can make a separate and unique statement about why it's important to you. And when your leaders elect start to hear about and ask what your value statements are, then they start to listen to you. And so Biden, I don't care. He's on his way out. We're not sure if he's awake. Politicians shift with the wind. And so whoever's in their ear the most, whoever's pushing their issues the most, whoever's most vocal, they will start to pay attention to you because they're politicians. And so what I want to say is that health wallet, we're called health wallet because when you howl as a power, you can get something done. You can communicate. And so what I want to say to you is that you all have agency here, and if you're in your Facebook group for 10 minutes, bitching about this, take 5 minutes and email your electeds. Not just your chemistry, but email state senators, senators, federal, email your Congress representatives, your representatives, and get involved at that level. And contact your electeds is a real pain in the ass. It's hard. There's barriers to it. It's not easy to do. And so one thing that we do when we work with Rose, putting stuff on our action center, is we have an action center tool that's unique for most of their action centers. When you go on our action center and you put in your name and you want to send a letter, we route it directly to all of the electeds that are even if they're not in your district. You don't get filtered out because it's in the Southern District. And so if you want to talk to 5-7 groups in California that are really quick on this, we send it so you can do that. So I want you to know that you're going to get an email about this totally for Rose in the next week or so, that you can send a personalized, individualized, unique email, and we help you write it, basically. We help populate the language for you. You can also edit it yourself, but it will be different from every other email that's sent. So it doesn't just go into the folder of it's another one of those people. Every single email is different, it stands out, it's unique, it's yours, it comes from your address, and also your persona. So that way it can't be discounted as some organized group that's just doing another campaign or something like that. But anyways, that's going to come from us through Rose. The most important thing is that your value statement has meaning when you share it with the electeds and the people that are making decisions on this. And the thing, as you mentioned, even if Biden does swipe the pen on this, making sure that all of the politicians involved at the state level and federal make sure that they know that there's massive opposition to this. Well, they'll tilt the hand or tilt the landscape a little bit when it comes to what happens in January, on January 20th, or with the next conference. So that's all I have to say. So thank you for being here. This is phenomenal.
We will have some follow-up, why our tonight, and also I'll follow up with you, send you by email afterwards, whatever it is, the letter I mentioned. But I remember from Congressman Paul's office wanted to make some quick, follow comments to my district. I completely agree with, what he said. I mean, working for it, we see your, working for the government, we see your guys' emails, we see the calls, and we see your concerns. And the more that we get, the more we realize this is a big problem. This is something that our constituents are concerned about, and they want to be heard. When you email us, when you contact us constantly, our people in DC notice it, people in the state notice it, and we get together, we have meetings, and you say, hey, we've had tens of people, if not hundreds of people contact us about this, and we need to do something because our constituency matters, and what they're saying is a problem. So I highly recommend that as well. There's no communities, I really do recommend it because it's important and we want to know what's going on. The problem is, a lot of times we don't know what you guys are concerned about unless you contact us because we can't be on every Facebook page, we can't be on every social media post all the time seeing what you guys are saying. We need to know and we need you guys to contact us. So that's extremely helpful.
I second that too. I second that again, 100%.
You know, this is the one around this.
Yeah, so.
Go on the website, you'll hear a phone number.
We don't need really easy to contact. So. Two quick thoughts also. We've been using the word conservation. To me, conservation, to most hunters in the wildlife management community, conservation is a wise use of resources so that future generations can use them. This proposal to me is not conservation, this is preservation. And preservation doesn't work. The human hand has been involved in ecosystems in North America for 20,000 years. There's not an ecosystem in North America that hasn't had human participation in it, including forage, plant life, wildlife, air, water, and soil. And so this is not conservation in my book, this is preservation. There is a group of people out there that think you can shake up the snow globe, walk away, and everything settles down nicely. And that's not actually true. That's not how the landscape works, that's not how ecology works. You see it in the wildlife space with non-management predators. We have ecosystem crises developing right now in California. There's fires as a result of ecosystem imbalance because humans step away from managing the forest. So don't get confused, and if your friend that you're talking to about this, don't talk about conservation. Stop. It's not conservation. You don't have to battle with this. Hey, look, these words are important. It's not conservation, it's preservation. It's exclusion of your participation, which is modern. It's not ecologically or historically accurate to remove humans from life. So don't let people get caught up in a very charismatic idea of doing these wonderful things, which are very modern, very new, very unproven, and actually very detrimental. So arm yourselves with the differences between what's really going to happen and what they're proposing. And then finally, the other action tool that we have on Cultural Wildlife is a letter to the editor tool. Media reports on what they're told to. So when the proponents of this very charismatic, issue go in and say, here's San Francisco Chronicle, this is a wonderful story. We want you to read this, we want you to report on it this way. You're just going to do it because the story's been written for them. That's what everybody's going to support. Just like politicians, at the end of the day, media, you are their constituent. And so our letter to the editor will make so that you can put it in any city in California, pull up a dozen or so publications that are central to that within 50 miles or so. You put it in Los Angeles, you get all the other newspapers. You can write yourself a letter to the editor, telling all those newspapers what you think about this issue. If you do that in mass, all the major news publications in California will realize there's a problem. There's a problem with this thing that's going on in Central California that's being proposed. And so you can get your voice amplified into the media of all the major newspapers in California, and they'll start to realize, oh, wait, what's going on here? Maybe there's a different side of the story. So again, your voice can work and your voice can matter if you put it into the right inboxes. We're going to help you do that.
We haven't had time to go through what these impacts will be on bear, deer, and mountain lion, the other species animals that we enjoy. The ability to hunt and see in our national forest, but there's so much more information that you can share. This is a great site, and thank you all for being patient. Almost done in 60 minutes. Last but not least, we also have Curtis Easton from the Southern Valley Trails Cooperative representing the Mountain Bike community. So welcome, Curtis.
Be as brief as I can. Yeah, really was suspicious, lovely suspicious, that's what I like. Partly because we don't trust what we promise with respect to human powered access. But also because we recognize that we live in kind of symbiosis with all the other users. We can't do what we want to do in the forest if everybody else uses access to it. You know? So, we're just a small organization. We started in 2017 with a dozen people. I come from Curtis, North Florida, past that area, and 7 right now. And we've grown to 250 unique subscribers. It costs $40 a year to join our organization, 60 for a family. If you include all of the family members, we have over 300 members that pay. They pay for the privilege of going out and working on trails, clearing the roads, working in conjunction with the stewards and the other users who are doing these things. We dedicate usually about 2,000 hours per year, volunteer hours, all volunteer, just like all of the other volunteers. And we've cleared thousands of trees on these hiking trails that advocates of the range of light uh, um, endeavor that they think that they would be using, but those trails would be filled with gigantic trees. They'd be burned with trees. If people weren't out there clearing them. So there'd be no access for anybody. There's no way to get to those trails. You can't use the roads to get to them. Yeah. So what we like to camp, we'll do dispersed camping on the spur. They want to get rid of all the spurs. So, what will we do? What will we do when all of that slows down? There will be no access for anybody. It will be so hard to get back there that essentially it will become a wilderness area. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say. I have to say more, but we should open it up for questions.
Recently Company Trails Cooperative also does some amazing work with trail maintenance. They previously managed the 007 area that's up south of Tucson. If you're in the mountain biking area, I know that's saying that right. If you enjoy that recreation, you have to go there. It's one of the best areas to ride mountain bike in California. And that's thanks to their hard work. And so, organized recreation collaborates with mountain biking, with hunting, the people who paraglide, with horseback riders who take pack trips in the ice here, with fishermen, all of these recreations and more than I can mention, work together and also with out of state and national organizations like Unlimited to keep our public access open to our public lands. So I'm going to filter through some slides, get some more great work on what I'm going to say about it. I'm going to filter through some slides because we have touched on a lot of this stuff, and we want to get to Q&A. Real quickly, I want to note there's copies, I'll send copies of these slides to everybody. The Cruise Movement also issued a very powerful statement of his opposition, and his district does cover the majority of what is contained in the white. So this is a really important one to pay attention to. Congressman McClintock and Congressman Vaughn work very closely with the House Natural Resources Committee, which our protection work very closely as well, to ensure that this kind of legislation doesn't go through Congress, that both of the people in heard and brought into consideration when these kinds of proposals come up. So many thanks to Congressman McClintock and Congressman for their involvement. We also have a message which we can send out as a link from the board of supervisors for president of Square County. They were in the here for the full meeting site. I know they had to have folks pop in. We have Brett from President County meetings in there, but he's just definitely using meetings tonight. It's a very important message that we should get to as well. And so what can you do now? We will be sending out a call to link, as you heard from Assemblyman Tagpot and Congressman Palmer's offices. The calls matter. And so we have a list of talking points that make it really easy to specifically say the things that are important to do and why you're important. Get up the phone and make a call. You talk to the staff member who answers. You get to the answer. Or leave a message so that when you come in the morning, you're bombarded with, so yeah, that's just here you have your voice and your thoughts on something. So you may not be able to see it in the audience, but there's actually names and numbers that you can call. These are all politicians who have publicly supported having to write. And so we have community that will getting this out so everybody sees it. And everybody who is staff says, oh yes, beginning with people. And so we have to keep going because those calls do sway momentum. We also have a local petition, and I'm not sure if Derek is tonight. Do you want to come down just real quick and say that? Also, for the community who was so much started a petition to oppose the range of light, which he also heard about the webinar that was Friday night for us a few weeks ago. And it's
Most of you guys have seen me on Facebook posting different posts on this range of light. I did sign the petition. This man has worked with everybody here in the room, and we've over 12,000 other people that have signed it. Pretty much my history with the Sierra National Forest. We live in Bass Lake, about 3 miles from Bass Lake. And I do own a business, and I service over 2,000 people in the Sierra National Forest. So me personally, I couldn't just sit there and not do anything, and this is one of the things that I did do. And it was all motivation from you guys, getting to know people, and just not being able to sit there and just take this and not do anything about it. So that was all from you guys. One thing I will say is there's a lot of people that, were sitting good. We don't have to worry about this. Joe Biden's not going to sign it. Keep fighting. Don't pay attention too much to that. Don't back down as soon as the Jared turns around. That's when I'm shot. So keep fighting. Don't back down. One of the big things we need to work on doing after this kind of settles down, hopefully this will be starting. We need to figure out how to protect the Sierra National Forest. So this doesn't happen again. And hopefully we can all figure out that in the near future. I've talked to a few people about that. There's been a few things on the internet I've read too, and hopefully we can get that to where the Sierra National Forest things are. And we can do some improvements along the way as well too. So I appreciate everyone, you guys, and you guys should all give yourselves a round of hand because we wouldn't be here today. Just keep fighting, keep circulating the petition. I know we did hit 10,000 signatures. The more people that are opposed to it, the better off we are. So keep circulating it. And I appreciate all the hard work from everybody that supported me through different things that I'm trying to do for the forest as well as the people that live in the forest and use the forest. Not just from here. We've got people from LA, Bakersfield, San Francisco, San Diego. I know a lot of them that have cabins up here and enjoy just coming here and getting away from the city life and just being able to relax and impress. So thanks and y'all have a good night.
The petition is exceeded 12,000 signatures. Let's get 20. Okay, we can also do it. So if you have some time, you can sign it and send it to her email. We also have the Ribbon Coalition circulating petitions for multiple monuments. As I mentioned, we're finding, I know, list them all. If you go to actually, want to talk about this?
Is this working? Okay. We got it. So we have some doubts out there. I know we've got some cheapers in the crowd, and I know that those cheapers are just too cool to do the other thing. But we need to get other people that don't know about this. So these are ones on the table we talked about. It's no late night group. Because Joe Biden is a late night president right now. The last election is already election. If he does this, it will be against the will of the American people who spoke pretty clearly in November. And so this page will take you to our page that has 9 separate monument proposals that we can oppose. That's the page we're right now. If they just, I was talking to the reporter from the LA Times who wrote a big story about these monuments, and I said, I don't think they should do this. But this new administration, this new Congress coming in, there have been a lot of things commanding their attention. There were a lot of promises made on that campaign, and doing land management policy wasn't a highlighted issue of the 2024 election. If Biden goes and designates the New Jersey sized collection of national monuments on his way out the door in December as a late night president, this will become one of the top issues that will get the attention of the incoming administration, which means we have a once in a generation opportunity to permanently reform the Integrity Act. And there are bills to do. I do believe Senator Mike, he will be the chair of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, and I've worked with him for a long time. He has always had bills that will, there's one that would require congressional approval that he has a minus designated, or one that would send certain states. Like right now, you can't make national monuments in Alaska and in Wyoming. I was there, got exempted. But that's going to require getting that attention. Like, they're going to need to hear from you. That's why these petitions are important. Like, right now, we want you to communicate to the members of Congress who oppose this, but there's going to be 2 or 3 more rounds of this. Because then the other thing they can do is, in the first 100 days, you'll see that a lot of talk about this called the budget reconciliation process, which is the one vote in Congress where they don't need 60 votes in the Senate to pass a budget. They can defund all these monuments through that process, and so they'll never actually go into effect. But there will be 1,000 other things trying to get into that budget reconciliation bill. If we're not pushing for it as a collective, unified national voice around positions in these, then it's going to be hard to get on that list. So that's why we're doing this now. If Biden designates these, it'll be extremely frustrating, but we need to use that as a moment to galvanize this into a movement that can take this into the next 4 months, make sure things get permanently.
So they all the petitions for every single one that's listed there. These bills are primary opposition. We can take into court litigation, that we can take to Congress where we're asking them to defund appropriations, that we can take to the White House to say we need to rescind this designation. All those actions require the lowering of our license. So if you still submit all of that, events that are on the background, you don't claim it. Somebody else does, and so you're signing it and you're signing the right to get information out there. It's absolutely crucial. And it takes just a few minutes, and it's free for you to do. So, we invite you to join us in doing so. Please also, if you didn't register online, make sure that you sign up on the sign sheet, which is on the California Bill table right out front. Enter your email address, and that way we can continue to make updates on our decisions and other sources of actions that you can utilize. Okay, we're in Q&A. We have a mic here in the center, and first